Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to the first of our Topocata podcasts.
Welcome.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It is really exciting, yeah. So I'm Eleanor Long.
I'm Trevor Young. It's very formal.
Mm-hmm.
Informally known as Trevor and Eleanor, or Eleanor and Trevor. Which do you prefer? Probably Eleanor and Trevor. So we're going to talk about what?
Yes. Today we're going to talk about why we are leaving Facebook.
Yes. Or more specifically, Meta.
Meta, yes, because I'm going to have to leave Instagram as well.
Yeah. Well, yes, because obviously Meta is the overarching company that owns both Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. And I'd have to say, personally, it's not particularly a wrench for me to leave Facebook since I'm not on there. But Instagram is a bit more of interest to me.
Yes.
But yes, they're both Meta.
I wouldn't say we're prolific posters on either of the platforms, to be honest. So it's probably not the huge announcement that anyone was expecting, but it's essentially...
It's principles.
It's principles. We're going to stick by our principles, Eleanor.
So, see ya.
So basically, shall we explain why?
Yes.
Better do. It's basically because they're changing the rules slightly behind everyone's back, as these tech companies tend to do.
Behind the scenes, we might have been informed in some roundabout, no one ever reads, small print.
Yeah. I'm sure there's an email somewhere with some small print that no one ever reads.
It was difficult to translate into actual normal English to realise that they are, in fact...
They're going to start using people's imagery for their training of their AI models. So, for those people who know about AI, artificial intelligence, it basically scrapes data... basically harvest data that allows it to spit out various, I would say, like Frankenstein type images of whatever somebody wants.
So when you're typing in, I want to see, whatever...
Frog in a baseball cap. It then rifles through all those frogs in baseball caps that you, as a creator, has created, and spits it out and... merges the two together.
It couldn't have had it not had that base information. Basically, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear this all the time, but computers are only ever as good as the data that they contain. And for artificial intelligence to, particularly image generation, it needs a lot of data, and that's image data, to be able to then sort of piece together.
And improve. Keep improving.
Yeah.
And have something that looks correct to a human eye.
Yeah. So, for instance, if you type in frog in a baseball cap, it would need to trawl through all the images. And it would also need to know what those images were originally. Because obviously it can't tell unless something tells it.
It's some data behind.
Yeah. So it needs to know that it's collected images of frogs, for instance.
And baseball caps.
And baseball caps. And then it can use that information to generate an image of a frog in a baseball cap. So it's not an exact copy of anyone's original image. It's taking the essence of people's imagery and Frankensteining that together.
So that might actually be how it can be not copyrighted, because
there's all sorts of questions.
It's not as specific, but it's definitely used.
Yeah. I think there's obviously a lot of angry artists out there where they've actually recognised some of their style in generated imagery, and the fact that some of these image generation tools, you can actually type in a name of an artist and get it to generate imagery in that style.
That's terrible.
So it won't be that artist's original image, but it will have taken...
In the image of.
In the style of, yes. It will have taken that style and used that to create the aforementioned frog in a baseball cap. In the style of, I don't know. Van Gogh. I mean, he's not going to be angry; he's dead. But that is for contemporary artists. It's very much a problem, and they're seeing a drop off in their work. So it's having a very real effect.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, I think a lot of people claim it's like the advent of photography, where photography. So those people who were painting portraits at the turn of the century, photography comes in, and it's a lot easier to just take a photograph of someone. Then those artists felt like maybe they were out of a job. But that had a profound effect on art. It meant that it progressed art in a very different way. And I think some people sort of claim that AI is a similar thing. It's a new technology that people can use.
Well, it's a tool. That's what everyone's saying. It's a tool, and it is.
And I think if it's used as a tool, then that's, there are great applications for AI.
Yeah.
And there are things such as, if you want to remove a background from an image, so you just have the character in front and you can then place that character. Those are useful little tools that save time. But this is very different. This is actually replacing jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not the same way as photography, where if you're a painter, you could go on to be a photographer. But here you have to move on to being someone who types in prompts. It's not quite the same. If you're a creative person, typing in a sentence and getting an image generated.
Well, making good on the stuff that comes back as well. To be honest, that's becoming a job.
I think that's what's happening, isn't it? A lot of artists are there to sort of fix AI generated imagery. It's
insane. There's so many good things that AI could be doing.
Yes.
Other than creative stuff.
Yes. It's true.
In all the science,
of all the things
and data collections, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the bottom line is artists have a choice. They can allow their imagery to be scraped or harvested, whatever you want to call it, so that it can be used to generate imagery outside of their control, and they'll not receive any recompense for that at all. Or they can decide that that's fundamentally unethical to do that and vote with their feet.
Decide to go. And the date...
And the date, I think we've quibbled about this.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
it was the 26th of June 24.
Right, yeah.
But
yes, it is.
There
right.
is a pause.
Yes, well, this is a European ruling. So this is the Data Protection Commission who've just put pressure on. Oh, you going to say something?
Well, I was going to say that if you're in the US, it's already happening.
Yes. So tough luck. If you're in the US, they've already been using your imagery. And when they say imagery, that's not just artwork. That's photography. That's anything that anybody has posted on Facebook. Family pictures, anything. Yeah. So that raises very fundamental ethical questions. But that's been a clause that's gone through. You can opt out, but you'll find it incredibly difficult to do it.
Yeah, it's quite an intricate process of back and forth and putting things up for Meta's consideration.
Yeah.
And you have to actually actively opt out because you're automatically opted in. Yes. And when you try and opt out, you have to give evidence as to why it's a problem.
Yes.
So that all sounds like a lot of hurdles.
Yeah. Best of luck with that.
For anyone even motivated to do it, let alone people that just haven't got the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's so wrong. It's such the wrong way around, isn't it? That they put it on you to actually say, please don't, use my data to do these sort of things. But that's the way it is, and people just have to be aware of it. So yes, that's already happened in the United States. I'm not sure about other countries, but in the EU, because of GDPR, which is something that's cropped up a number of times, is basically data protection rules.
Yes.
It's made it a lot more difficult for Meta to kind of get around that. So they've had to put forward their case to this Data Protection Commission, who've, at this current point, said no.
Yes, so therefore but it's called a pause. So
it's called a pause.
It's not called a stop.
It's not called a stop, and there's nothing in their terms and conditions at the current time of recording that has changed. So although they're saying that publicly, they haven't actually put anything in their terms and conditions or whatever to say that
it's not actually going to happen. And that is the 26th of June.
And that's the 26th of June, so that's coming up very, very soon. So that means that we're quickly going to remove ourselves from Facebook and Instagram, because I think we have to vote with our feet, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're now looking at our alternatives.
Yes.
As well as good old PR and actually doing things and talking to actual people.
What, real people?
Real people.
No. I hate doing that.
You don't. We're actually looking at an alternative site.
Yes, one of them is called Cara. I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably wrong, but anyway, that's CARA. It's not .com. It's something else. I think it's .app. And it behaves a little bit like Twitter, and it behaves a little bit like Instagram. It's sort of a mix between the two, but it's very much for artists. So if you did sign up to it, expect to see a lot of artwork. But who knows how it's going to evolve over time. Essentially, it doesn't use AI imagery, so it won't accept AI imagery, and there are AI imagery detectors that allow it to do that. And it then uses software to encode any images that you upload to protect it from being scraped by AI.
Because it will be if it's not protected, basically.
There's a chance, yeah. So it basically, it's not watermarking, but it's a little bit like watermarking in that if an AI model was to try and scrape your image, it would really mess up its own algorithms. Basically, if it uses your image, it won't be what it thinks it is.
It's basically relabeling. So it thought it was a frog, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not just the image name though.
No, I know it's not the name.
Who knew it was that easy? You could just read over it. But it but obviously
pixel by pixel,
it's doing some clever sort of shifting of the luminance and pixels and various other things to fool it. So it's not going to work forever, but I think voting with your feet to move to a platform such as Cara shows
the feeling about it. Yeah.
And I think that's quite powerful as well. And we've already seen on that platform that there are big companies advertising creative jobs, things like that. So it's being taken seriously. It's got well over probably 500,000 by now. Last I heard was 300,000, but I think it's got well over 500,000 people on the platform. So it's making good headway. It's run by an artist himself, photographer.
Right.
So it's very exciting. But there are other options out there that we're going to explore as well as talking to people.
And basically getting creative and inventive about how we can connect. Because that is the thing that social media is giving us, sort of this connection on a plate, which in a way is fantastic because it's there and we can use it and it's quite easy to do so. But in another way, it's sort of, you don't have to be so creative, figuring out a way to make an impact somewhere else, some other way that catches attention and is interesting. And, so hopefully a bit of guerrilla marketing maybe. The problem is we're going to have to come up with some ideas.
That's no bad thing, is it? That is definitely something where we are going to have to get more creative about the way we connect with people, but that is no bad thing. I went to a marketing conference way back, but what was really interesting about that was one of the people there that was talking, one of the speakers, was from a magazine called Monocle, which is like a lifestyle magazine, isn't it?
It's quite sort of high-end, very, very lovely. It's sort of travel. It's lot of travel.
It's like artisan shoemakers. Where you buy your shoes. It's off the beaten track type.
Unusual
information.
Handmade.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
People with true style that don't follow the crowd, and everyone was there. It's quite a big conference. Everyone was there with their devices or their notepads ready to take in this information. And the guy from Monocle's marketing department got up. And the first thing he said was that they don't use social media. So it was like audible gasps, thinking, how the hell do you market yourself if you don't use social media. But they knew their readership really, really well, and their readership likes to unplug.
Yes, yeah. So they didn't want to be.
They didn't want to have to go to social media. That was not where they were. So it was very much them taking their own path when they came to shouting about what they did. They had their own radio station. They did pop-up events and things like that.
Yeah, I think they've got a few shops around the world as well. They're not short of money.
No. So it was a kind of interesting take that you don't necessarily have to be a slave to social media. And actually, it's getting harder and harder on things like Facebook.
Yes, you're competing with people with a lot of money.
Well, funny you should say that. There was another group at that same marketing conference who they are in digital publishing, and they identified a lot of their market was on Facebook. So they, at that time, and it's a few years ago, revealed that they spent $11.5 million over a 2-year period on Facebook advertising alone. So at which point, I'll just give up. How you compete with that?
No, it's so difficult.
It is. So we do have to kind of think of other ways of doing it, because we've got a lot to shout about, haven't we?
Yes, we have. More and more. We keep thinking of all these ideas that we're going to talk about on all our podcasts.
Absolutely. And we have got exciting news coming up. And we also, as part of our own marketing, we've got to say where we want people to go, what we want people to do.
Oh, yes. Well, the best one at the minute is go to our website, topocketer.com.
Yes.
And you'll find us there, and you can look at our blog. You can sign up to the RSS feed and sign up to our mailing list.
Yes. Which
is probably the best thing to do.
To keep informed.
To keep informed with our various projects that we have. And there are plans afoot.
Yes. So I think we're going to put the any links in the description.
Yep.
And so you can just link directly to that. But yeah, definitely sign up to the mailing list.
Mailing list.
Ridiculous not to.
Yes. It would be ridiculous. We are also on YouTube.
Yes. So we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's great. And you can't find us on Facebook anymore. Or Instagram.
We're not there. But see you somewhere else.
Yeah, and look forward to the next podcast.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.